All right, everybody. Looks like we're live. How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to another episode of Sasquatch Out of the Shadows Live. I'm your host, Alex Pedikov. I hope everyone is having a great Monday so far. Oh, sorry about that. It looks like I had the stream in the background and it started going off. But hope everyone's doing well on this Monday night. It's my favorite way to break up the Monday, hang out with everybody, and obviously bring in an awesome guest. So, as always, just a couple of announcements here. Let's see. So last week we were joined by Andy Matsky. We had a great time talking to Andy about small town monsters. Andy's a friend. It was awesome to have him on the show. Next week we're going to be joined again by Doug Hajicek. I had him on the show in late 2020, I believe. He is the creator of Monster Quest and a lot of other cool documentaries, and he's an awesome researcher. So it'll be interesting to check up with him and see what he's been up to and kind of what his research and what he's been up to since the last time we had him on the show. So if you like this kind of content, please feel free to subscribe and share. Just let me know if you like what's going on. Leave a comment down below if you want maybe other guest suggestions, that sort of thing. I try to usually book pretty far ahead, so we have a good spread of guests coming up here. But if you want to see this or previous episodes, there is a playlist in the channel to watch it. This is, we're getting up there in the streams, almost to 50 here, so that's pretty exciting. But tonight we're going to be joined by Edward Monge. He is a longtime researcher and investigator of the unknown. He grew up in Costa Rica and has always been interested in monsters and things that go bump in the night. He experienced paranormal activities in his home that he could not explain nor wanted to. Since these encounters, he set out to obtain answers, knowing he may not like what he finds. He served in the U.S. Army in the 82nd Airborne Division Infantry Unit and was deployed in Afghanistan and developed skills in the areas of search and rescue, survivalist training, and other numerous tools for tracking, which he still uses till this day, especially when looking for cryptids. He also served as on a sheriff's department for a short time as a deputy sheriff. He began using equipment in his searches, such as drones and night vision cameras. He is now a filmmaker using a passion for documenting evidence of Sasquatch to educate himself and others on the topic. He has a YouTube channel called Bigfoot Quest, which features short documentaries and interviews of well-known researchers and book authors of cryptids and the like. It's an awesome channel, so definitely check it out. There's a link below. But without further ado, let's bring Edward right in. Hey, man, how you doing?
What's up, man? How you doing, Alec?
Good to have you on. Thanks for coming on.
I was just getting off my tea, though.
No worries.
Now, it's an honor to be, man, right here with you, though. I'm about to, I guess, just blast it out with you and everybody
Yeah,
else,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah, we were talking a little bit before, and I mean,
Yeah.
you've obviously done some interesting stuff and had some interesting things happen. So I guess where I always like to start out with the guest is what got you interested in the unknown? I mean, what brought you into the Bigfoot topic?
Well, actually, that's gonna be a long answer, but let's try to make it shorter.
Sure, sure.
Uh, Back in the day, I was someone who loved just sitting around, especially old people. These older people always telling stories, scary stories and stuff. And since I was 7 years old, I'm always into listening and learning, which is it used to be like my hobby when I was little. There's not such an iPad or iPhone and all that stuff. So the best thing for me was just sitting around and listening to my oldies. Um, I had an experience, Alex. That's how I end up here. Not with Bigfoot, no, not with anything else, but I didn't know what it was back then. 1994. Uh, I don't know if you want me to tell the whole story or
I mean,
just
if you want to kind of give sort of, I don't
brief.
want you to cut any details, anything
Sure.
important out. I mean, go for it. Like if you want to
Okay.
tell it, go
Sure,
for
man.
it.
All right, man. Let's try. Let's try. So this what happened, man. Just like you said in the beginning, this happened in Costa Rica. I was a young man, maybe 18, 19 years old. I used to work in a manufacturer. They make shirts and stuff like that. And I remember that was a weekend, maybe Thursday, Friday, something like that. And I wasn't feeling good at all. So I called my supervisor and I say, "Hey, man, look, I am not feeling good today. So I need you to, give me some permission and go home." I was having like a high fever, just sweating kind of cold and stuff. I just moved to this home a day before with my friend Gina. Gina is the not the owner, but you know what I mean. She's the one with the lease, and she was
Sure.
actually looking for someone who rent the room so she can actually afford a place. So I'm like, sure, I'll just let me have the room, tiny little room, not too big, maybe 5 by 5. I mean, tiny. The biggest thing in that room was the window. Put it that way. That's kind of funny. So around 1 o'clock, I took a bus, and maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock, maybe I'm home already. I remember asking Gina for the key. I don't even have an extra key, so I told Gina I need to go home. Okay, here, baby, just take the key. And as soon as I walk into my house or the room, man, I was about to pass out. I'm like, you know what? Just gonna lay down, took off my shoes. The only thing I have in that place is a white blanket. I haven't bring my stuff yet. So I remember just putting the blanket on my floor right next to the window, and the floor was so cold. Oof, I love it because I'm having like fever. So, like I said, just took off my shoes, lay down. Big mistake, Alec.
Hmm.
As soon as I lay down, something just happened. I still wonder until now, and I hope I can keep on finding answers.
Sure.
My body just froze up like a frozen chicken. Put it that way. I couldn't do nothing. I couldn't move my finger. Couldn't move my toes. Nothing. I was just laying down like I'm dead. The only thing I can move is my eyes. So now I'm thinking, what's going on here? And everything, it's like the time stops for a second. Everything just went from 100 to maybe a 5. Put it that way. It's moving very slow, very slow. I can hear
Wow.
my breathing. I can hear the mosquitoes.
Hmm.
It's just crazy. And then I hear this huge, massive explosion right next to my house. And then I saw every single piece of glass just fly in a slow mo and drop all over the room. Every single piece. It's like I got an eye on every single piece. It's weird. I don't
Wow.
know how to explain that. But as soon as the glass touched the floor, everything went like a normal speed. Then I hear the shadow, the pieces flying all over the place. Now I'm scared. I want to go outside and see what's going on, but I cannot do anything again. And then I saw something moving in a very weird motion. It looked like put it this way, Alec. It's just the frame of the window, and I see like a waterfall falling with this kind of stinky smell. It smells like motor oil or
Huh.
rubber, like a burning rubber, something like that. Makes put it that way. And this thing just dropped in slow mo, and it keep on falling and falling like a lot of stuff. And finally, it came all the way to my knees. A couple of seconds later, this thing is just forming up and forming up right on top of my knees, and I'm feeling the cold. This thing is colder than anything that I can ever even describe. I mean, you touch ice, I'm in PA, it's cold up here. But this is nothing. You can go outside right now and jump. That's nothing compared to
Wow.
what I feel in my room, especially this being. I was so scared, Alec, and I started to shake. Now I'm praying. I'm telling God, please come over and save me. Please. I'm just praying in my head. I am so scared. I think I'm gonna die. I mean, I'm just thinking all the negative things in my head. I cannot see any possibility of me getting out of there alive. And now I don't know if I'm in my room or what. It's like my vision just went into a tunnel. It's
Yeah.
just me and this thing forming up finally when I saw the big, massive head with a very tiny face, two black eyes. I mean, I'm not trying to copy anything on TV. Just like I've been telling other people. In fact, let me say something real quick. I've been talking to Kathleen Martin. I don't know if you know who she is.
Yes. Yeah. She's actually originally from New Hampshire. She's related to Betty Hill, Yeah.
Yeah,
who had that's a famous incident up here with
right.
abduction.
I've been talking to her for 2 weeks. I got another appointment tomorrow at 1 o'clock.
Wow.
And we kind of became friends because of my friend James from Florida. He's actually the one who introduced me to her, and she's been helping me a lot and teaching me a lot of things. And finally, after 20 plus years of keeping this in my chest, I'm feeling a little bit free, I'll say. Don't get me wrong. It's kind of weird talking about these things because the first thing people do is just laugh at you. These guys on drugs. It happens to
Sure.
me, including your family.
Right.
Believe me, I went through that a couple of times. So, anyways, let's continue with this. Sorry if I get emotional, man. This thing is
No, no,
honestly,
I can tell it's still something that, very affects you.
it really bothers me. How like it, it really does. So this thing finally ended up forming up in front of me, but this thing is massive. When I told Miss Kathleen last week, if this thing is gonna stood up in my house, it wouldn't fit. There's not 8 feet tall. I would say maybe 10 feet tall. It's
Hmm.
huge, like a giant. And no wonder why I'm feeling like I'm having a train sitting on top of me. I was screaming in pain. Please get off me. Please. I'm begging you, please get off me. And the cold from his body is like, I don't know if I'm gonna use this word, but let's try like a cold energy transmitting or coming from his body into my body that I'm feeling even my bones and my skin like cracking. That's what I'm feeling.
Wow.
Finally, this thing is staring at me. I can see the eyeball behind the black thing that they have. I don't know if that's an eye. I don't know if that's like a sunglasses or something, but I can see something behind the thing. And it's just moving like very fast. It looked like an ant. Now, the face, like I was saying, is tiny. No nose at all. Just two tiny little holes. No lips at all. Just a little crack. The chin, not even half of what I have or you have. It's just tiny. Long neck, tiny torso. The arms, so huge, so long, but so skinny. He was covered with something. I still trying to find, English unfortunately is my second language. And honestly, Alex, I've been researching the word of what is he wearing. It's on, I know some clothing, but I just don't know what it is. It looked like metal to me,
Hmm.
but it looked like glass at the same time. I don't know.
Is there
It's
a
just,
word in Spanish that you know how to describe it as? Or you can't even
yeah,
find a word?
I think it's pearl, like pearls. Is that did I say it right? Like perlas.
Yeah,
That's what it's
pearls. Yeah,
called.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it looked kind of like that, but tiny each one.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It's just tiny, 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 very tiny, almost microscopic. I don't even know how I'm able to see that.
That's wild.
And I'm just staring at this thing from top to bottom, to the bottom, and he's just like kneeling but sitting on top of me, like I say. And now he's looking at his hand. When he put his hand like in this position, I knew that something was about to happen. I just didn't know what. Four fingers, huge. I would say maybe this long.
Wow.
Counting from my fingers to here. I mean, maybe 12 inches long each finger. It's just massive. And he started to race in like a slow mo, very slowly. And finally, I went like boom, and I hear this like a lightning. Honestly, that's what I have, like an echo in my ears right now, like a lightning. And he put his hand inside my gut, and I'm feeling like he's just ripping off. But while he's doing this is what I told Miss Kathleen. Kathleen, while he's doing this, he's looking at me in this way, and I'm not hearing any voice. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm not making any money out of this. I'm just telling
Yeah.
you what it is. I'm perceiving words with my own voice, not anybody's voice, but my own voice. Don't worry, I am not gonna hurt you.
Hmm.
You'll be fine. And now this tunnel vision is like moving back and forth. It's like seeing lights right next to you. But I'm not allowed to look to the sides. I can't. I can't see nothing. It's just me and this creature. And I started to sweat. I feel my body like getting from coming from cold to heat. So I can almost feel like every drop coming out of my body from every direction. I mean, from top to bottom, and some funny smell. And now it's popping up even more. It's like the oil that I was telling you when he just came into the room. Now it smells more. It's like, yeah, like a burning tire. Like a rubber. It's so hard to find the other that I can really put right here on the table. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm sure you
So
spent
this,
a while trying to just find something
yeah,
similar.
right. So that's the only thing that I can come up with. And then I saw him doing this motion, like looking at the door for a second. The door is behind me on my left side. And here's the funny part. I hear this boom, like a movie, boom, like an echo coming from behind me. And it started to go like normal sound. And when it went to a normal sound, coming from a slow to a normal speed, I look at him. He just dropped like when you have a balloon full of water and he just kind of exploded, that just dropped like that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he did. I feel like a splash, and he just went to from this matter into liquid again. And it's like when you play the tape in reverse. I can see this thing moving backwards, going back into the window, went off. And this time, all the glasses and everything like that in the floor, it's just like a whoosh, just like a moose. And we're like, boom, back to normal.
Wow.
And then finally, the door just blew in pieces. And there's Gina, the lady. She came in crying and screaming. I cannot say a word. I am so weak, so tired, so in pain. I'm beat up. I cannot even move. I mean, I can move now, but I cannot really, I cannot even get up.
Sure.
And she's like, Ed, what happened? What happened? Please tell me. And she's shaking and she's putting her hand behind my neck to lift me up. I guess, even though I'm a skinny boy, I guess she couldn't just drag me out. So I'm like, please, you not take me out of here. So she's dragging me out all the way to the kitchen. And you can see a track of some liquid because I was full of something, Alec. I am full of, I don't know if it's water, I don't know if it's sweat, but it wasn't at the same time because it wasn't liquid 100%. You know what I mean? It's kind of like,
Sure.
it kind of looked like saliva, kind of sticky, but not so sticky. And I'm sorry, man, to put it this way, but that's
No,
that's
no.
that's how it was. When she took me to the kitchen, it's like, oh man,
If it's too much, man, we can, we can maybe talk about this another time or just kind of cut it short. I
that's
mean,
that's okay. I'm almost done. I guess it's just weird, man.
I seems like you're just reliving it almost. Do you think about it a lot? I mean, I'm sure is there a day that goes by that you don't think about it?
I would say at least twice a week. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. The only thing that I remember asking her, please, please, Gina, give me some water. I feel dry. I feel like I haven't drank water in years.
Wow.
I'm dying to get up from the floor and just put my mouth in the piping, whatever. I just need water. But I'm begging, but I cannot even say it. So I'm just trying to raise my hand, please. And she have to get close to me. And I say, water, water. And she got it. She brought me one glass. And I keep on saying, one more, one more. I took maybe like 5 glasses of water. Uh, I was in a lot of pain though.
Right.
That's the weird part. Every single bone in my body feels like I've been broken, like I got hit by a train or something. So I even asked Gina to give me some medications. And she's like, no, I don't want you to take anything. I'm going to take you to a hospital. And I said, no, don't take me to a hospital. And I'm coming back. My voice is finally coming back little by little. And I remember saying, Gina, I need you to go to my room. Make sure he's not there, please. And he's like, who? Who was
Yeah.
there, Ed? And I just told her the tall creature. He was outside. He came through my window. And she went back to my room. And the only thing she found was a big pot of this liquid. My
Yeah.
blanket is just dripping. If you lift, it's just gonna drip. I
Wow.
mean, and where she was dragging me, I remember my pants, my shirt, my hair, just like when somebody just pour a whole gallon of water on top of you.
Yeah.
That's how I look like. And she is like, "Let me help you." And she's like, oh my god!" And she started to scream and panicking. And what's going on? I'm wearing a little white shirt, and she's like, "You're bleeding." And what do you mean? Look at your belly area, your abdomen. And she was right. I got like two little holes, one on the right, one on the left. Um, two little holes. It looked like when somebody kind of burned you with like put it this way to make it easy for you guys. If you take a cigarette,
Yeah.
just put it on your skin, that size and that kind of a damage that it makes the cigarette, that's exactly what I have.
Wow.
But I was bleeding a lot. It's like drops coming out and coming out. So she went and bring the first aid kit, and she's trying to put some gauze and stuff. And I said to myself, this is serious. Now I'm panicking for real. And she's like, Ed, please tell me. You need to tell me what happened in the room. I hear you screaming. As soon as I walked through that door, I mean, I can hear you from the outside. I thought you were getting killed or something. I'm like, well, that's what I thought. And I told her this weird looking thing came into my room. And she's like, that's impossible. Then finally, I get up, and she's hugging me and taking me all the way to the room. There's no signs of anything. We went outside. There's no tracks. There's nothing. It's just a beautiful afternoon. It's almost nighttime now.
Wow.
And what I didn't realize until years later that somebody asked me, so how long do you think that was? So, I mean, in my mind, maybe, I don't know, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, the longest. But when I went back and remembering the time that I left uh, work, and by the time that Gina came back from work, because we work together, and she usually gets out 4:35. It depends. So there's a missing time there,
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
and that's something that I didn't know until somebody asked me. To be honest, I
Right.
didn't make that up. They just asked me, and I'm like, "Wow, you're right. I never thought about that."
And
So
that's something pretty common with these sorts of things.
right,
I've heard of a few stories of people having missing time.
yeah,
It's very
and
common for this sort of thing.
True. So many people now that I've been, researching, because honestly, that was the first day for me to start researching. There
Yeah,
was nothing like internet. There were nothing like maybe magazines. I remember seeing magazines,
sure.
not the bad ones though, but I mean magazines like National Geographic. I remember that one from hotels. I used to work in the hotels back then. I was telling you before the show.
Yeah, right, right.
But I get to understand what it was when I got to the States back in 1990s, 97, 98, something like that. Um, my boss sent me to the States to do some work. That's how I got here. And he gave me the choice to get back, if I want to continue working, or he gave me the choice if you want to stay. And I remember telling Mr. Brown, you be my father, man. This is a man who pretty much rescued me. I was a kid who left home when I was 12. Just I mean, I wasn't a bad boy at all. In fact, yeah, I ended up in the streets looking for my dad. I love my dad to death, and that's the main reason I left home when he left us behind. I wanted to find him in the big city in San Jose, the capital, Costa Rica.
Yeah,
For a little kid to find daddy. I mean, I'm not saying this because I want you guys to feel sorry about me. I just want to share a little bit of where I'm coming from, and that's how I ended up knowing Mr. Brown. Um, One of the managers hired me to be a dishwasher, so I was the dishwasher boy back then, and he pretty much took over. You know, I went to school. He gave me a place to live, pretty much. Well, he helps me, and so I worked for him for so long, and he gave me the choice to come to the States. He knew that that was my dream, and proudly I serve.
well, thanks so much for, I mean, having the courage to talk about that story. I mean, it was obviously not easy. I could tell. I mean, just from your body language that you're kind of reliving that moment almost. I mean, Diane in the comments says, Edward, I'm so proud of you. You were able to let that out. Yeah, and I mean, it's these kinds of experiences, they shape a lot of who we are, and obviously that's sent you down this path. So, um, yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Sure, man. So been through some things, but I don't regret nothing.
Sure.
If I ever live again, I want to live the same thing, the same way, and I do it again and again.
So you wouldn't change the experience.
Nothing. I want to be me again. So if there's such an afterlife, I will I will live the same thing, meet the same people, same places. I will repeat my story. It doesn't matter to me if it's hard or not.
Sure.
Life is full of challenges, anyways. And if you don't have a challenge in life, then you got nothing. You're
Amen
just
to
gonna get
that.
up and live like a just live like a deer. Let's go eat some grass and let's go back to sleep. I don't want to live like that.
Well put.
I did my best. Like I was trying to say, I served in the military because it was my dream job. We don't have army in Costa Rica.
That's right.
Since
Yeah. It's a
since I
neutral
was a
country. Yeah.
yeah. So since I was a little kid, I always come up with the idea, man, I wanna do things like this. I used to say that to my mom. You're crazy, Ed. There's no way you're gonna do that. We don't even have that here. And I'm like,
Was
mom.
there a reason why Costa Rica didn't have an army? I know Nicaragua obviously had a civil war,
Yeah,
and
I think they exterminated that back in 1948.
mhm,
They realized how stupid it was, at least for my country.
sure,
So they used the money and put it on education.
hmm.
So
Not a
I
lot of
guess,
countries do that.
yeah, unfortunately, Costa Rica is not the same Costa Rica that it used to be. There's a
Sure.
lot of politicians stealing your money and the country, pretty much selling the country to other countries.
Yeah.
So it's not the same thing that it used to be. But even though it's still a little country in the middle of Central America, full of good people, pura vida, you know that you've been there a
Yeah.
couple times,
Yeah.
right?
Beautiful. Been there once. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. So I got here, and after I got out, because that's another one. I got hurt while I was serving, and I got a I was very disabled. I'm saying very disabled because I mean, for the VA, I still disabled, but I didn't give up. Again, I almost lost my life jumping off a plane. Almost end up losing my left leg, and I
Oof.
mean, I still damaged. Don't get me wrong. I still have
Sure.
to go through a lot every month, getting shots here and there. You guys see it on Facebook sometimes, but I just make jokes out of that. I don't really pay attention to my physical pain anymore. I think that the mental pain hurts 1,000 times more than the physical, and I can
Sure.
deal with that. Um, Even though I move along and I just move forward, and I'm like, okay, what's the next adventure?
Right. I love that
So
attitude.
yeah, so that's where I'm at right now, man. Keep
Is
on
that where
searching.
Bigfoot came in? Was that need for adventure?
It's yeah, I think it's part of all of these experiences that I live
Sure.
in the past. I end up getting to know George Workman, a friend of mine from here, from Pennsylvania, and the very beginning was I went to a farm to metal detect a few years ago, and it's a hunting place. I mean, there's a lot of things going on over there, really bad things. I mean, we'll spend a whole day here, but to make it shorter, I walk out of there with a funny video. I saw something in one of the videos while I was editing, and so I share it. And then George Workman, he reached out. He's like, "Man, I believe there's something in that video." Blah blah blah. So we kind of became friends.
I've seen him posting a lot about mountain lions in Pennsylvania and that sort of stuff
Yeah,
online. When I did my project Lines of the East, I would always see him posting stuff because I was in a lot of those groups. So definitely an interesting guy. I'll have to have him on.
yeah. He's a great guy, man. He very knowledgeable guy. Smart. I respect him a lot as a researcher, as a person, and I mean, good friend. We don't hang out anymore like we used to. I guess everybody kind of goes their way, but
Sure.
he was actually the one who started all of these things with me. Bigfoot Quest we created
Cool.
together, and but he decided to continue on his own project. So I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So I took over Bigfoot Quest. And Jesus, I remember the day that he told me that. I'm like, Jesus, what am I gonna do now with Bigfoot Quest? We got a few people now following, and I don't know much about Bigfoot, you know. So it was kind of funny. So I have to do a lot of researching, a lot of reading,
Sure.
a lot of you know, emails, calls. And it's funny, Alec. I don't know if it happens to you, but I got ignored by everybody in the beginning, including George. And he knows that.
That's
Including
how it
George.
always happens. Yeah, you're always the annoying guy that's coming in, and everyone
Yeah,
either
man.
everyone either thinks you're trying to butt in or like get in on the glory, and it's like you just want to find stuff out. I
Yeah.
know what you're talking about.
So and I remember a few people that who knows me now, and they're telling me, "Man, I thought you were some crook guy." You know what I mean? Not like I might be crooked up, but no, not in that specific area.
Sure, sure,
I uh I love learning. Like I was saying earlier, I like challenging myself. If I'm not challenging myself today, I can't sleep. I mean, my wife is my witness. I'm always, if I'm not out there doing something, I'm always here behind the screen learning something, and I have to get it. If not, I'm not gonna go to sleep. That's just
sure.
me. I don't know.
I have the same, so I'm sure
Yeah,
there's people in my life who would say the same exact thing about
that's
me.
cool, man.
But, I do want to just read a few comments here
Sure.
from some folks. Bill Murr said he sounds like a great man. Yeah, I mean it's not easy to share that kind of story, so it's absolutely. James Bross says proud of you, my friend.
That's my friend James from Florida. We just met James. I'll tell you a little bit.
Awesome, awesome. Remiel says the way he shared his background makes him genuine, his story more believable. Absolutely. I mean, it's a heck of a story. And then Mike, how's it going, Mike? He says, thank you for your service. Thank you indeed.
Thank you, Mike. I know Mike. He been in
Yeah,
my
Mike's
show.
great. Yeah,
Good guy, man. Yeah, I was saying something about James. I just met him while I was in Florida. We were filming for Stacy Brown,
cool. Yeah,
and yeah, we had a blast down there, man. I mean, a whole week, a non-stopping action. That was crazy. I mean, you guys will see it when the film comes out. I'm not
yeah.
gonna spoil anything, but it was just amazing. So that's how I ended up meeting James, and now it's my
So
brother.
that's awesome. So that's what I want to ask you about a little bit about. Obviously, I've seen some of your videos. I believe one of the first ones I saw was with Tommy Cooper from
Tommy,
Cryptovania. Those guys
great guy.
have some really
I
great
love Tommy,
stories
man.
going on. So
Yeah.
I think I saw your interview that they had posted on their page. I mean, back this is like I don't know, a while ago. But how did you get into that, doing the interviews and talking to people, and are you self-taught in terms of filmmaking, or
Uh,
where's
I'll
the
tell you.
inspiration for that?
Like I was saying, I was the annoying kid, right? Asking questions. And when George left me, when he left, I um I didn't know what to do. So the first thing I remember getting on the phone and try to get in contact with Tommy Coop.
Sure.
And man, I want to say publicly, right? I mean, I want to put it right here tonight. Thank you, Tommy, for believing in me. This guy, he told me something a few years back that I will never forget. And I love him so much because of this. He told me it. You know how I see you? I'm like, how? I'm not gonna get into details, but you're gonna go far, man. You're gonna go far. You are a very unique person, and there's something on you. I look at my wife and I'm like, is he okay? Like making a little joke. And Tommy Cooper is one of those very first people who ever believed in me. Because I gotta be honest, man, even with all of my challenges and everything that I've done in my life, you have your doubts.
Yeah.
Sometimes you hit the wall, and when you hit the wall, man, you look to your right, to your left, and you don't know where to go. That's exactly what I was that day. But I was so grateful that Tommy was down to let me in into Cryptovania and just walk into the woods, get to hear stories from him. Um, we were not those close friends. We're just meeting up. But Tommy, for me, is someone that I respect very much. I know a lot of people. You know, I know big people, even TV people.
Yeah.
And I will say into now, a lot of those people, they're this big to Tommy Cooper for me because of what he put in my heart. You know, it means a world to me. And so thank you, Tommy. If you ever watch this, um, he uh he was the first one I think that I end up interviewing,
Yeah.
and he gave me that little push. I was in a very uncomfortable zone that I have to get out of there, but I didn't know how because you know I tried it. Don't get me wrong, but because of my accent, can you believe that? Sometimes I was making comments and misspelling something here and there, and I got blasted out by people. This guy don't even speak English. This guy don't even know how to write in English. Things like that. And believe it or not, Alec, it gets to the point that it kind of bothers you. I'm not
Oh
saying
yeah.
anything. I'm not saying anything. I'm not fighting any back because what's the point of fighting? But yeah, it's hurting me somehow. Um, Somebody asked me not too long ago, dude, why you're not doing your podcast anymore? So I told him straight up. Well, there's a couple of reasons. Um, I guess I'm busy. Number one, and the other one because yeah, I've been a little bit punished by some people. But that's not an excuse for me to escape and say, "Oh, I'm not doing it because of that." No, honestly, I managed to learn so much from them, and they actually kind of put fuel into the flame now.
Yeah.
When somebody kind of try to brings me down and try to destroy my reputation or who I am, what I do, I kind of put some fuel in the flame. I kind of like that. Yeah,
Use the hate to
yeah,
fuel yourself. Yeah. Well, that kind of stuff is just so stupid. I mean, there's so much of that in this
it
community,
does.
as you know, and the stuff. It's funny, this whole, people pinging you on your accent or
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, as somebody who grew up, first generation in this country, also, I remember as a kid not really speaking English and being made fun of for that kind of thing. I mean, that it was not fun, but
Right.
I see now people that English is the only language they speak. You and I speak multiple languages. English is their
Yeah.
own language and they don't speak it properly, and they're ones to talk. So,
Yeah.
I think it's a good attitude you have. Just use that hate, use the people saying stupid stuff, and just use it to propel forward, because
Yeah.
I think there's more good people in the community than there are those
I
people that
believe.
if they're attacking you, it's because they don't have anything of their own. They're either
Yeah.
jealous or I don't know. It's stupid. Always some
It
stupid drama.
happens. It happens in anything you do, like
Oh, for
anything,
sure. Yeah.
So going back to filming, yeah, about 5 years ago, that's 2016 to be specific. That's my buddy Paul. What's up, Paul? uh,
Hi, Dixie Q. Yeah, there's a lot of comments coming in
that's
the
cool.
chat as well. So
So
very
that's
cool.
how I ended up here doing films, man. It kind of I was metal detecting in the beginning, and I was getting some cool finds. That's the funny part, like you get those uh gold rings and stuff like, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make a little channel. So I started to share my stories, and I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how to shoot. I didn't know anything. My
Right.
wife is the one, playing with the small laptop, and she's doing some editing on what's that? iMovie.
iMovie. Yeah.
So I look into those videos now, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And I was telling her my ideas because I didn't know how to edit. And I remember one day that she was so busy, and I got a pile of videos. And I'm like, man, I want to edit something. And I'm like, you know what? I'm doing it. So yeah, I sit down on the computer, I put everything together. It took me like 6 days, one little video, but it came out fine. People kind of like it, and that was it. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start learning this. So since then, I been buying professional equipment, and I like shooting high, man. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Sure.
It's just like a sniper, man. If you got that round, you better use that round for a reason. And I'm gonna use it properly. I want to get it right, and I want to get it right the first time. So, in a very humble way, I would say this: I was praying a lot, praying a lot. I'm a God believer, man, and everything I've done in my life, from the smallest thing to the biggest thing in my life, I'm always put everything on God's hand. And I'm like, God, this is for you. And this is gonna do good for me. Help me out. Open doors for me. I don't care how long it takes. I'll wait. That's fine. But please give me a sign that you're gonna be opening doors for me. So I did. And I've been learning and learning, and I don't know, it seems that some people like what I do, and I'm happy about it. And thank you, by the way, everybody. And finally, I decided to go to a film school. Uh, I'm actually starting in May this year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and
Nice.
but you know what's funny though? I sent some material to one of the instructors, the VA guy, and he said something to me. It's an email somewhere on the computer. He said, "Man, I guess there's not so much that you really have to learn, but it's kind of funny, like a joke, right? But it would be cool to have you anyways, because the biggest
Sure.
thing of a school is because you're gonna build not just videos but a network, and that's what I need. Alec, I think if we end up hanging out with the right people,
Yeah.
and this is not only for filming, this is for anything in life.
Sure.
But it took me so long to understand that you just have to be with the right people, the right place. And maybe that's what happened to me in the past. Maybe I was not ready, or I was just desperate, knocking and knocking doors, and these people just shutting the door right on my face. And
Well, you knock on enough doors. I mean, eventually one is bound to open, right?
yeah, that's the idea. So I'm ready to jump into that and
That's
just
awesome. I'm happy
continue.
for you. I was gonna say, I mean, I've seen some of your stuff and I think it's great. I would have assumed that you had some sort of background in it just based off of some of that stuff. Um, so I can only imagine how much it'll come forward to after school and all that stuff. So definitely keep
I
that up
hope.
because that is awesome.
Definitely, man. Don't get me wrong. I've been taking some classes online, but it's not the same, man.
Sure, sure, yeah,
I'm a guy who love and learn, man to man. You and I, right there. You know what I mean?
sure.
Like fixing a car, fixing a plane, whatever. I'm gonna learn for sure. But you telling me through a computer? Oh my god, good luck to me. I'm horrible,
Not
man.
the same, huh? Some people, it's easier for some people than others, I guess. But
Yeah,
I do want to read this comment from Mike. He said, "I'm one of
sure.
those folks that English is my first language, and I butcher people's names and locations. You guys do a great job, Mike. You do a great job too. You're awesome, man.
Thank you, Mark.
I know we both are fans of yours, and
Oh,
definitely
nice.
keep it up. Sure,
Yeah, one thing I like about Mike, I used to work for the sheriff department. I know he does that job. I did it for less than a year. Me personally, I didn't like it. I
right?
didn't like it at all. But yeah, I respect people who does it because it's not an easy job either.
Yeah,
It's a lot of patience. Maybe I
definitely. Yeah.
run out of those in the military. I don't know. But
No,
yeah,
Mike's great. We had him on the show recently, fairly recently. Awesome guy. Talk to him pretty regularly. He's down in Florida right now, looking for skunk ape as
the
well.
skunk
So
cave. There you
yeah,
go.
so that's awesome. But
Go get him,
um,
Mike.
yeah, oh, Mike's awesome. He taught me a lot about using thermal imaging when I was filming with him and Steve Calls up in the Whitehall area this summer, and we were
Mhm.
filming actually the upcoming Small Town Monsters film, the big on the trail, Bigfoot the Journey. I didn't know
Right.
anything really about FLIRs. I'd never really used FLIRs, but I had borrowed a couple of units from Jonathan Wilk, Squatch, and Mike was teaching me a good amount about the thermals. We were out in
Yeah.
the woods. It was like I didn't have time to practice. He just was telling me, what to do, and
Wow.
very awesome. So he's an awesome guy. But what do you
Yep.
say we take a few of the questions that have come in since we've
Sure.
started talking?
Sure, man.
Yeah, there was a really interesting one from Carrick of Crash Course Cryptozoology. He says Edward's encounter is truly a terrifying one. Also, it sounds quite unique. In his research, has he ever come across a report that sounded similar to his own?
That's a great question. And Kathleen's asked me the same question last week. Have you ever
Right.
heard anything like this? So this is the third time. I shared my story with Nick Redfern. You know that guy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we spoke about 2 years ago. I actually interviewed that guy one time. And he, when I told him my story, I didn't go into so many details like I did with you guys. And he asked me that question: have you ever heard somebody who been through the same thing? And you're not like, no, that I know. Honestly, and my answer would be no. I haven't heard nobody. But
Yeah, it's
I
very
mean,
unique.
everybody has it, but in a different way. It's just different. I don't know why mine is so different.
That there's, when I think about like the unique encounters, there's a handful like yours that I just, looking into the UFO topic a little bit and having my own experience, nothing as vivid as what you had happen. It was just a visual of a craft that we saw in Pennsylvania, and I've talked about that on the show before.
Hmm.
There's a few. There's this Italian encounter where this guy said he was seeing these giant creatures outside his home. It's in league with that, where there's like not a lot of similarities. I
Hmm.
mean, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, and Kathleen is related to Betty Hill from the Betty and
Hmm.
Barney Hill story. I mean, up here in New Hampshire, that's pretty well known encounter, and throughout the whole world. And there's more stories like that. I
Hmm.
mean, yours is just so vivid, and the way you told it, I could visualize everything kind of in my head, and was creating my own sort of narrative of what it looked like, I guess, or visualizing what it looked like. So, yeah, it definitely had me speechless for a little bit.
No, well, it really happens, Alec, and again, I hope it happen again sometime. That's what I told Catherine last week, and she like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah, right.
I'm like, "Sure, yeah, I'll take it again." Just just to find out who they really are and who they really want. I mean, she
Right.
gave me a bunch of information of what she think
Yeah,
they're trying to do, and I mean, it kind of matches. And I believe what she told me. It can be really something that this is what she said. Maybe they were there to heal you.
sure. Because you were
Maybe they
sick
were
at the
there.
time.
Yeah, I was sick, and you know what's funny? Remember I was saying I was sick.
Yeah.
After that, I was good. Back to
So
work
so
the next day.
I mean, it's just especially Kathleen Martin. She's world famous for looking into this topic. So
Yeah.
you can only imagine how many stories she's or people she's talked to over the years, and for her not even to have something analogous to your encounter is pretty interesting.
Yeah, she told me that she haven't heard anything like similar.
Yeah,
No. And she even told me a lot of stuff about, Betty and Bernie. And I'm like, hello. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, then I still don't know what it is or what they want from me.
right.
So I asked her, do you think they're actually here to do something bad to us, to humanity? And she believed that they're actually here to stop something. It's
Hmm,
all about stopping things,
right.
especially uh, the big governments with atomic bombs and all that kind of crazy stuff, technology.
Yeah, because
But
that's
at
when
the
a lot
same
of this stuff
time,
started happening.
yeah. But she said, but maybe they're also here to help. You know, I don't know. There's so
It's
much, so
Yeah,
much
it's
information.
once you get into that subject, I mean, it's like endless. I mean, what
Yeah.
I saw in Pennsylvania, I just can't. We can't. None of us can. I was with guys who've been researching UFOs for decades, and the locals there. This was in. You said you're in PA. This is outside of Du Bois, kind of central western Pennsylvania. That's where we had this
Mm,
experience, and not far is from there is where Eric Altman and people have been doing a lot of Bigfoot research, and it's kind of like this weird triangle area that
mhm,
we've been looking into, and we talked about our experience, and the locals said, oh yeah, that sort of thing happens all the time. We see
mhm.
black unmarked helicopters and all this, the sort of stuff that almost sounds like the Chestnut Ridge, but it's an hour or something away from that area. So
Wow.
um,
Well, an hour is not so far away. I mean, if you think
yeah,
about it, not
and
that
all
far
this
away.
this phenomena tends to kind of not just be in one area, like it's all over the place.
Yeah. One thing that I know so far, I mean, after these few years of researching and getting to learn from all of you guys, it's impossible for us to think that we're here by ourselves.
Oh,
There's got to be something out there, man.
it's almost arrogant to think so, I think.
Yeah. There's got to be something out there. Just put it this way. Somebody created this. Let's start from day one. We're not here because of an explosion. It just doesn't make any sense. And you know in your heart it doesn't make any sense.
Hmm.
Somebody took the time to create everything so perfect, so beautifully perfect to make everything work. Earth going around the sun 360 days in 6 hours, every year, same time. It's like they meet in the same place. I mean, just the time itself. There's a reason why the time exists, but the time only exists for us. That's just my opinion. Time doesn't really exist out there. It's only for us. So we can have a clock to follow, a day to born, a day to die. Simple as that. I don't think there's time out there in space. I don't believe that. For what? In fact, if there's time out there, we know for a fact it's different. It's a different time. You go if
Everything
you
moves
go
a
like
lot
farther and
slowly.
farther, you're gonna come back. You're gonna come back younger. Why? It's
Yeah,
just
it's
weird.
it's it's a lot out there. I mean, it just makes you wonder, question everything that we consider normal every day. We just the way we rationalize things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's what's so interesting about looking into these topics is, that you kind of get humbled. You realize, well, it's way bigger than me or my personal problems or whatever's
Mm-hmm.
going on in my life. That there's just something that's truly
Mm-hmm.
out there that's really interesting. Um,
It's
yeah.
tiny. We are so tiny, Alex. This just like I was telling Miss Catherine last week. I saw a picture of planet Earth. Who took this picture? I can't remember the robber who took the picture from Mars.
Hmm.
So, and you see Earth so tiny, so freaking tiny. It's just a little light. And I was thinking right here behind my computer, somewhere in that light, that's where I'm at. I mean, how tiny are we? See how big is this?
Crazy.
Somebody created this. Somebody actually brought us here, and this is a world full of good stuff, bad stuff, It's just an evolution for all of us to learn and learn and learn. That's all we do here in life. Just learn and learn. Like me, I still don't know what I have to learn from all these experiences because I wish I know. But whatever it is, maybe it was good. Maybe it changed my life forever. I think it did. And maybe I still don't know how. But I mean, all I know is that it's still affecting me somehow because it still hurts, still make me think how small I am, and it also makes me think about the other people who has to go through the same thing. And if it's anybody out there, let me put this out there. If it's anybody out there, just listening or watching right now, and you've been through something like this, I'll give you a piece of advice, guys. Talk to somebody. I'm not
Yeah,
saying blast it out, tell to everybody at work and family because there's gonna be people laughing at you. I
sure.
remember calling my mom. I remember that like now. And I told her, Mom, something came into my room. Oh, it's a demon song. Let me pray for you. That was the first thing she said.
Hmm.
And she called the pastor. I mean, a whole bunch of things happening, and they're praying for me. I thought, I mean, I was possessed or something.
Oh
The
yeah,
story is a different story. This is not just demons. There's got to be something else. So
right.
don't be shameful. Just talk to somebody that you trust. Get it out of your chest because when you start building up that stuff, it's just it's just gonna do bad on you, and that PTSD is just gonna hunt you down like it did, and maybe it's still on me.
Yeah, and there are people like Kathleen Martin that they great people to talk to. Those sorts of folks that
Mhm.
are kind of maybe have a little bit of an idea of what's going on here, because most people would probably just say, "Oh, you're crazy. Go see a psychiatrist or a therapist or something," right?
Yeah.
So that's the unfortunate thing. So you have people that maybe have a little bit more of an idea of what might be going on here, saying, "Well, this person's not crazy. There's something that
Mhm.
happened that's obviously created this trauma. It didn't just come out of nowhere."
Right. And and that's the thing though. When you get to meet people like this, it's good for your soul. You see, like the first time I spoke to her 2 weeks ago, I thought it was gonna be a one time only, and that was it. I mean, that was the whole idea. But after she heard my story, she's like, "Hey, do you mind talking to me next week?" Well, of course, I would love to. So
And she's a busy woman. I mean,
yeah,
she gets around, like, in terms of, the conferences and all that sort of stuff. She's
yeah,
very well known, so,
she is.
she's making time, which is amazing.
Yeah, so I feel blessed and happy to have someone like that showing me the way, maybe, or helping me out because there's so much things that I still don't get it. I still don't understand, and she's opening my eyes. Every time we spoke because it's just amazing all the knowledge she has. She's an amazing person.
Absolutely. Jamie says, "Thank you for sharing your story. It helps so many people when you're transparent."
Thank you, Jimmy.
And, let's see, Remiel here says, "Being a truth seeker is the highest calling." Definitely very interesting.
Yeah, it's all right.
Central Florida Bigfoot asks, "Alex, are you on at this time every Monday? I'm putting together a Bigfoot TV guide." Yeah, every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We also had Tate, I believe, stopped in the chat here. Tate Hieronymus, Bob Hieronymus' nephew here. So he's not actually related to Bob Hieronymus, but that's the running joke that he's
Yeah.
Bob Hieronymus. Is it's the weirdest thing. He has a similar last name, and they're both. He's into Bigfoot, so it's like the most
Wow.
unfortunate coincidence. It's
That's a
pretty
good
good.
one.
I always kind of joke. We always tease him about that, but no, Tate's awesome. Had him on the show as well. But
So
there was a couple other questions. I'm just gonna have to dig them up here. But I know there was one from Jeremiah earlier. Let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. Jeremiah from Bigfoot Society. How's it going, man? He says, "What is your advice to Bigfoot researchers that are wanting to incorporate drones into their fieldwork?" Awesome question. I love drones.
drones is something that every researcher should have, in my opinion.
I agree. I agree.
And you should have the two types, like a regular camera for like daytime. But if you can afford the thermal, oh my god, go for it. I
Uh,
wish I have one, but I
Same
don't.
here. I'm dying to play around with one of those.
Yeah, I got the drone. I can swap, cameras on this one, but I find out that just the camera for my drone it costs like 2 grand.
Oof. Which one do you have, if you don't mind me asking, your drone?
Sure, I have the Autel Evo 2,
Okay.
the Pro, the
Hmm.
6K. I don't know if you hear about that one.
I've heard
So
of it. I've not played around with it. I just have a DJI Mavic,
yeah,
kind of my go-to portable.
that's a good one though. I have the Mavic, the version one, the first one, the Pro. But it's old now. I think
Yeah,
it's
right, right.
yeah. But I mean, it's a
That's
good drone though. It's amazing.
absolutely. So, Quick Witty here asks, does Edward believe in a cover-up? I don't know if that's about Bigfoot or other topics, but I mean, however you interpret that, I
Uh,
suppose.
sure. Yeah, there's gotta be a lot of a cover up with the government. There's no way there's not. Let's e- let's put this as an example. If you think about all of these UFOs, or I haven't heard much about Bigfoot to be honest,
Sure.
but let's talk about what I know. Nobody wanted to say nothing about UFOs, and for years since the '60s, remember when the Roswell thing happened? The government is always lying, always lying. So guess what? They're gonna keep on doing it and doing it, but there's gonna be a day, just like now. They know the people already know. We're not stupid.
Yeah, of course.
And there's so many cases going on around the world.
Oh
Somebody's gonna.
yeah. I mean, even just the pilots there,
Hmm.
talking about that footage, and I think I've talked about it recently on the show, where the idea of cover up, and the idea that they're slowly trickling information out, but it doesn't even make the first page of the news. It's like
Hmm.
one story on the website, or it's not, it's just not like the first story because there's so
Yeah.
much else going on. I think if you talk to people, I mean, remember that whole Storm Area 51 thing,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's clearly on people's minds. So I'd say if you ask any random person in the street, they probably have some idea about it. And
Hmm.
uh, really interesting, how it's changed from even just, let's say 20 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, X-Files was on TV, and
Hmm.
a little bit more taboo, I guess.
Yeah, and the information is being put out for many years. The problem is us. Do we want to believe? That's the thing. You talk to regular people about Bigfoot, they just laugh at you, regardless of how you believe about Bigfoot. If
Yep.
you think it's a flesh and blood, if you think it's like a special being,
Sure.
whatever, they still laughing at you. So
Oh yeah.
it's just difficult. You just have to have an open mind. Ron Moore told me this. Yeah, listen, if you really want to believe, and he was sitting across the table. Look at me. You gotta have an open mind. Otherwise, there's no way
Yeah.
you won't be able to hear or see or anything. You gotta have an open mind. So truth.
Yeah. Absolutely. The more I've gotten into this topic, all these multiple topics, it's like if you go in with that one set of mind, I mean, you
Mhm.
may be ignoring other things that are going on. It's you have to, like, that's really good
Yeah.
advice to impart on people.
I want to tell a little story. Speaking of Ron Moorhead, when I was there filming with him last year, we were hiking, me and him, in a mountain. It was a cold morning. It was actually rainy, cold morning, foggy. It looked like the scary movie thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know what, Ron? I want you to go back to the car, and I'm just gonna go on my own, because we were gonna film in that area. So I'm looking for locations to film. I saw this tiny little trail. It looked like only horses, or I don't know what goes in there. And I'm like, I'm gonna take this trail and see what's up. So I walk about a mile and a half up in the mountain. I mean, you can hear birds and regular forest, beautiful, but it's fog, a little bit of fog, like on top of the trees. And I was thinking about Ron Moorhead's story, the Sierra and all that. It's just right there on my head. And I was just thinking, what if I start calling these creatures, in my head? So I actually said it. I opened my mouth and I say, well, if you guys are around here, why don't you guys shut up? Look at me. I have no weapons on me. I'm not here to hurt nobody. And based it on my own experience and my own story, if you're real, why don't you just pop out of the woods? I would like to see you and maybe get to meet you. Something happened though. I mean, in fact, I post that video though. It's funny for me now because I say I shouldn't done that. Uh, I hear something in the top of the trees, maybe about 300 feet away, maybe 200. I don't know. Kind of high. Those trees are not a joke. They're high. So
Is
this
this in
thing,
California or?
Washington State.
Oh, okay. Very
Yeah.
cool.
So I hear like I don't know if it's like a branch cracking or like a boom. After the boom, everything went in silence. Everything. I mean, if you watch the video, it's gotta be down there in my Facebook somewhere. Nothing, nothing moves. No birds, no crickets, no nothing. The only thing I can hear is two things: my breathing and the raindrops. Everything went quiet after the sound.
Hmm.
And I was so ready to pull my phone out just in case. But I'm not gonna lie, I was getting scared. I mean, a million things just crossed my head. What if it's a bear? You
Yeah.
know, what if it's a panther or mountain
Yeah.
lion
They have
or
mountain lions out there. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not just thinking about Bigfoot. I'm thinking about other things now. You know what I mean?
I feel you.
But I'm like, but wait a minute. If it's a bear, they don't really give a. You know what I mean? They're just gonna come over and or just walk. They don't really care. An elk, a deer, whatever. They will just do their business, whatever. But nothing's going on. So I was just pulling my phone slowly, and I hear another boom, but I couldn't get it on film.
Sure.
And then I put reverse, walking backwards now. I got scared, Alec. I really did, and I just took off. I filmed that little part of me walking back to meet up with Ron again. He passed out. He was sleeping on the truck.
And where
He was
was this in Washington?
yeah in Washington, and he's like, "Where you being at?" And I'm like, "Well, I've been I don't know, chased by something back there." And he make a joke. He's like, "I was gonna call David Politis, to put me on 411." Oh my god, he make me laugh so
Wild.
hard.
Was that in the Cascades or where was that in
That
Washington
was
State?
in the Olympic Peninsula.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
Right
going.
where Expedition Bigfoot film. I
Okay,
don't know if
yeah.
you saw the last episodes. Yeah,
I
right
did.
in
I
the
haven't.
same spot.
No. I'm actually going to the Olympic Peninsula in April. We're filming with the Olympic project out there, so I'm
Oh,
really excited.
nice.
I've been doing so like this whole past few weeks, I've been doing a lot of Google Earth, looking at the Olympic
Yeah,
Peninsula. I would love to talk to you afterwards and maybe see where that happened, and maybe I can throw that on
yeah,
my map.
dude. There is
Crazy, huh?
it's magical. You're gonna love the
Oh,
place.
I'm so excited. I've
It's
never been out
it's,
there before.
it's like being in the different world. I mean, Washington State, Oregon. What else? Montana. Oh my God, those three,
Pacific
unbelievable.
Northwest. Yeah, the Olympics especially, I mean, such a hotbed for Bigfoot activity over the
Yeah.
centuries. So I mean, beyond exciting. But that's really cool that you got to go out there with Ron. Were you guys is this the project that you're currently working on? I've been seeing some videos about that
Uh,
coming out there.
well, the idea was to do a whole film,
Sure.
but his story got picked up by a different company or so we kind of stop it.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we that was the idea, do a whole film.
Right.
So the little raw video that I have, that's what I'm doing. Me and him, just sharing a little bit of
Very
what
cool.
we did, just
Yeah,
to share it,
that's
but
awesome.
no business in between. It's just just to have fun and I don't know, just put it
Show
out.
off some of that beautiful scenery with the drone,
Yeah.
huh?
Oh my god,
Yeah.
beautiful! I'm gonna make a video hopefully this coming week. It's all about drone. Hopefully,
Sure.
and you will see. You're gonna be like, wow, that's crazy. It's
Yeah,
scary.
do it. Well, like
Yeah.
Jeremiah asked the question, using that for Bigfoot research, definitely. Obviously as a filmmaker, I mean, drones make our work just that much more amazing. It gives us the abilities we wouldn't have had just even 10 years ago.
Hmm.
Um, but in terms of the research aspect, like you said, very useful, very
Yeah.
absolutely useful. I did want to read this comment from Rocket Reindeer. He said,
Sure.
"My coworker saw Sasquatch in the rain once. He left because his gregarious dog was silent. He was like, interesting. Yeah, I've I've heard of some encounters in the rain because
Wow.
maybe there's like the sound is masked a little bit. Maybe
Hmm.
they move around more. Who knows? I mean, it's interesting. Thanks for sharing, Rocket.
That's awesome. That's something that Ron Moore had told me as well. Never bring a dog. If you're going to research Bigfoot, never bring a dog. They kind of
Hmm,
hate each other. And because of the way I believe about Bigfoot, maybe it make it even more clear to me. To me, Bigfoot, yeah, it can be a flesh and blood animal, just like a monkey, just like a gorilla. But to me, because we haven't found a single bone or anything that we can really say, hey, this is a Bigfoot part right here.
right,
We don't have it. We all know that. So for me, it's still, you know, in the limbo. So to me, maybe it's something we don't really see with the eye.
right.
Maybe something that it pops from a different dimension. I don't know. Maybe it's just here with us. But again, we're not allowed. Remember, the humans, we can only live into the fourth dimension. That's it. No more than that. There's creatures who can see more than fourth, for what I understand, including animals.
Yeah, and that's what's so
You know,
interesting. Like you think about the stories about cats being able to see ghosts, or
there you
even
go.
children, being able to have like
Hmm.
imaginary friends, and just the whole concept of infrasound. I mean,
Yeah.
animals, like when there's a big hurricane or an earthquake, all these pets escape, and they know it's coming. Like they can sense that. We're just so
Right.
completely oblivious to that. We have no idea, and I mean,
Hmm.
you could describe that as being something magical. I mean, it is because it's an ability they have that we can't see it, smell it, or feel it, or hear it. So
Hmm.
it's just there. They have it.
Right.
We don't.
And it kind of make me think. If we go back to the Bible, remember when it talks about the giants back in the day?
Yeah.
We know the giants run this planet for over 1,000 of years, and that's why we're still finding bones until now, even here in the states,
See, that's a,
especially
that's
in
a
the West.
it's a good segue because Quick Witty actually asked in the comments here, has Edward heard about the servicemen killing a giant in Afghanistan? Now, that's a story that's been floating
Yeah,
around for a long time.
definitely. Yeah, I heard. I actually shared what I know about that. I got a friend. A lot of my friends are still serving until now, and this guy is a friend of one of those guys who were there. I mean, that's what he's saying. I wasn't there. I'm not putting anything. This is coming
Yeah,
from my
sure,
friend.
sure.
And he said that his friend told him that the day that this happened, it was real. They say that they were just pulling a mission and they were coming from a village searching, what we search enemies, obviously. So they found this huge cave, which is normal for us. I mean, I was in Afghanistan back in 2012. And you will see caves all over the place, from tiny caves to huge caves. The difference between back then and now, especially right now, soldiers are not allowed to go into caves no more
Yeah,
because they find out that the enemy's been putting IDs right in the entrance or
yeah.
somewhere in the cave, and next thing you know, they just die.
They obviously know the terrain, so
Yeah.
they booby trap it.
See, like me back in 12, we went in a couple of caves. We have those metal detecting
Yeah,
machines, so we just kind of like do a little checkup and let's go. We go in. I mean, we found some weird stuff. We saw bodies, like
yeah,
skeletons. That's kind of normal, to be honest. It's kind of normal to find those things. Animals, a lot of animals, because they kind of die or something bring them inside and eat
and they
them.
just yeah.
Yeah, it's just weird, man. You're gonna find, especially donkeys. You will see, Jesus, hundreds of donkeys all over the place. But
And I
yeah,
mean, in terms of big predators, are there predators that are bringing some of those donkeys in there?
I think so. It's gotta be. It's gotta be because if you think about how a donkey can really get up there,
Yeah, right, right.
if you think about this one too, a donkey's a big animal. You know,
It's not a mountain goat where it's going to jump up rocks and stuff, right?
no, man. I mean, me and my buddies over there, we were asking so many questions every time. Like what the hell is going on here?
Right.
Like we got scared a lot of times, to be honest. It's
Did
just
you ever come across any Soviet stuff from the Soviet war there?
I think all the majority of these bones that we found were from that era because you would see clothing
Right.
sometimes. We're not allowed to touch them,
Sure, sure, of
but there's
course.
always one soldier, you know. There's always
Wow.
one doing it anyways.
Yeah,
And
that's crazy.
yeah, we found like old stuff. And the sad part, you're not allowed to touch and you cannot bring anything with you.
Yeah, right.
To tell you the truth, when you leave the country, they will do a checkup. They're
Make
gonna
sure
make
you
sure
haven't brought
that
anything out. Yeah,
you're allowed to bring only one item. I was bringing two, they took another one away from me. I was bringing a flute, like made of
sure.
it was made of wood and some special rock that they use. They took it away from me. And I
That's
brought
obviously a lot different from like World War II. You know, those guys used to bring back entire guns and pistols and
yeah, you
that sort
can't
of
do that.
stuff. Can't do that anymore. Yeah, from what I've
No,
heard too.
they call it contraband now.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I'm sure there's a lot of cool stuff that people have come
Oh man,
across.
you will find a lot of different things in there, a lot. And it's funny because not even the Afghani people goes into those caves. For
Oh yeah,
them,
wow.
they're hunted. That's what they say. They're haunted. And you know what? To be honest, man, I do believe they're haunted.
Something
I,
going
I
on.
mean, I will spend a day talking to you guys,
Sure,
but
we could
after,
definitely do that. Talk caves.
yeah, but
Is
after
that what got you into metal detecting here then? You know, was that experience in the army?
what
Or
the
were you always you said you did metal detecting kind of like for fun now here on your own
absolutely, yeah,
time.
no, I did it because of that.
That's
Yeah, I
cool.
got so curious, because my friends, there's only one guy doing it in the whole squad. He finds so many cool stuff and obviously IDs too. But the cool stuff, man, you will find from jewelry, you will find mugs made of metal and mud. I don't know,
Yeah,
cool stuff. But again, you're not allowed to bring anything, so you just have to bury again or just
yeah,
leave it
right.
there. And
Crazy.
for what I understand, the Afghani people are saying don't ever touch those things. If you leave it, just leave it there. Don't even touch it. You're gonna get haunted.
Sure, sure.
So yeah.
Wild. But there's a lot of interesting comments coming in. I'll read a few. This one's from Mike. He says there are a bunch of animals that are starting to show up under UV. So what is the light spectrum we are missing? Yeah, really. So even
Yeah,
visually, what we don't see. And then
that's
Jamie says people were saying that birds didn't fly south for the winter, and then we had the horrible freeze down south. So that's really interesting. That was obviously pretty big recently.
yeah.
Kevin
It's
Hamilton also says there are a lot of stories of normally brave dogs being very nervous when an alleged Bigfoot may be nearby. Maybe canines were historically a food source, and dogs have a built-in memory. I mean, possibly, yeah. It's. I
yeah,
mean, you see videos of dogs going and running up to bears and porcupines and getting quills in their face, and
right.
but
Yeah,
I've definitely heard about the Bigfoot stuff. I've heard some stories where it's like maybe they interact, but some most have been kind of negative. Rocket
yeah.
here says, "Thanks, Alex and Edward." His dog, this is referring to the story. His dog was always running ahead, but for some reason was silent and stayed close to him, way out of character. Yeah.
Mm.
And then Brian actually here, one more comment. He says, my dog hesitates on the trail, sometimes just not wanting to go forward. He cries or gives a quick whine, then jogs back to me or just stays still. And I have him tell me, come on, let's go, pup. He is smart. And
Mm.
Brian's had some experiences, I guess, here in New Hampshire. So it's pretty cool. Thanks for that, guys. Really interesting. Makes you
I'm
wonder.
only I'm only spoke to witnesses. I think it was last year. She told me that her dog was actually playing with Bigfoot a couple of times,
Hmm.
which is kind of weird. But who knows, man? Maybe
I
it's
suppose, I mean, if you, because you think about the whole variety, as I'm sure you've read some of the encounters that you have scary encounters, some people good
Mhm.
encounters, whatever good means. There's different temperaments. It's almost like there's nice people, there's bad people. Maybe it's the same with these sorts of things. There's nice dogs, there's bad dogs too.
Yeah.
that may not be their own fault. It's just maybe the way that they've lived their life or had some bad experiences with people. So maybe they're aggressive for that reason. I don't know. I mean, we're all kind of guessing. There's no experts really. We're all just sort of trying to learn from each other and learn from those that came before. And there's just a lot going on.
That's true, though. I mean, dogs are smart. They know how to defend themselves. They
Sure.
know their territory, especially. I can't blame them. If you're just hiking with them, they're gonna protect you, though, for the most part. So that's something that I told wrong. That they're gonna protect you. They will die for you.
Right.
But again, apparently Bigfoot don't like those animals. So who knows, man?
Yeah,
Just be careful, guys, when you go out there with a dog.
I've definitely heard some of that too. I think
Yeah.
the only ones I've heard is I don't know if it's Bobo from Finding Bigfoot saying his dog, like, they usually had activity. I mean, it depends. I get, like, again, it comes back that depends, factor of, is there good interactions, bad interactions? I don't know. I've heard of some stories too where there's that idea of playing with them or something. I don't know.
Right.
Splash Boudreau says wild dogs are known to chase and kill deer for fun, and this could be why Sasquatch does not like dogs and kills them. Yeah, I've heard of some stories of people's pets being killed, cats and dogs, by Sasquatch-like creatures. So definitely interesting.
And that reminds me, a friend of mine. He's from the south. He was in my podcast one time. He sent me a video where you can see his dog. It's a German Shepherd, huge animal, barking at something. In the video, you cannot really see, but there's something that it pass. It's like it disappears though. It's kind of funny, but you see this shadow coming in, and it kind of just go away in front of your eyes. And the dog, you can see the dog barking at it like he's about to attack that thing. What is it? We don't know. The next day, he said that he found this big, huge Bigfoot track on the driveway of the house. Since then, he been putting just cameras all around his property.
Sure.
Yeah, you should look into that guy too, man. It's a cool story.
Yeah, absolutely. What's his name?
Oh man, I'll have to go and research. I'll send
Yeah,
you the name. Yeah, I'll
cool.
send
Cool.
it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I do want to. Mike has a question for us. He says, "So for both of you, what would be the best video camera to use in the woods to document your research in multiple light conditions?" Good question.
Well, it all depends, in my opinion. Daytime, nighttime. I mean, if it's a daytime, any DSLR will do. Just make sure you get something that is it works with low light conditions. In my opinion, Canon is a good camera in low light conditions. uh Nighttime, obviously, you can always just get any night vision camera.
Yeah,
you know just pay a couple bucks, man, because don't get the $150 one. That they don't last.
yeah.
You're gonna spend.
You're gonna end up spending more money in the long run. You're gonna have to buy multiple bad cameras. You might as well just go for the big one or rent or something. But I would have to say, I mean, I think iPhones have come, or just smartphones have come a long way. Like for people that aren't into film or don't do it
Yep,
as much as we do, most of your smartphones nowadays have a pretty good
they
camera on
do.
them. So I mean, if you get to some flashlights, obviously it's not going to be anything close to night vision, but there are FLIR attachments, like
Yeah,
100 something bucks, you can buy that actually goes onto your phone and allows you to have basically a FLIR unit on your camera, and you can, in the daytime, get pretty good video. I mean, 1080p, 60 frames per second, really good stuff. But when it comes to nighttime,
there's
fluorescent
also
stuff.
Alec. They're selling a device that you attach to the phone now to have a
Yeah,
night vision. It's only
yeah.
like
Oh,
200
so,
bucks or so.
yeah. So there's FLIRs, there's night vision, all kinds of stuff just for the phone. I mean, for regular phones, you can get lenses to give you the fisheye effect, or different types of lens, basically just on your phone camera. So very cool. It's like, just there's endless possibilities. I would say another one, the Sony A7S's are pretty good with low
That's a
light.
good one.
Very
Yep.
good with low light. So, for, I guess, folks that are more interested in the filmmaking side, like we are, that's definitely a good one to look up. But those of you guys with smartphones, don't sleep on them, because you can get good video with that stuff too. Obviously, it's not the same, but it's better than nothing, and at least you're documenting it. That's the important part. Whether you're researching or doing it for fun,
But
just document it.
yeah, if not, and if you got the money, man, go ahead and spend about $800 or so. Just get a DSLR,
Yeah.
Sony, Canon,
Could get
Panasonic, something
A
that,
Canon Rebel or something like that.
something
Those
like
are
that.
great. I mean, I still have a 70D, EOS Canon 70D, and that thing's still pretty good. It's a camera from,
Yeah,
2013, I think. So
that's a good camera. I was gonna get the 80D. That's another one that I like.
yeah, that one's cool
Also in
too,
the
actually.
beginning. It's a good camera. I like it.
Yeah, my girlfriend actually has the 80D. So it's like, obviously for me, it's pretty easy to use because it's just 70D plus some features. But
Yeah.
I'm going to be upgrading soon. But I rent, I like the 5Ds. Like when I'm doing bigger projects, I'll oftentimes rent some of that kind of stuff. Or, I've used the Sony stuff, which I'm kind of leaning more towards that now. All these upcoming projects, like the one I'm working on now, Beyond the Trail for Small Town Monsters, that was on a A7S III, I believe, and that's pretty much the kind of stuff I'm going to be using from now on when it comes to those kind of projects. So there's a
Nice.
lot of good stuff out there, guys. GoPros, I see. Brian says Chewy has his own GoPro on his harness. We are ready. I use a Canon Rebel and a GoPro 8 Max. Awesome. Sounds like a good setup.
Nice. Yeah. Especially
And
those GoPros with the double screen now.
oh yeah, Mike says I have a Seek thermal on my phone. So yeah, Seek I think is the
There you
company
go.
that's
Thanks,
the
Monge.
thermal. Yeah, the Seek, whether it's a Seek or a FLIR or something. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
all these guys they make some great stuff. Just really depends, I guess, what you're used to, and
Yeah.
learn. If you don't know how to use it, just watch a couple of YouTube videos. You can. It's
Yeah.
so easy to do nowadays. You don't have to go to school to learn just how to use the camera.
That's true. Yeah.
So
Good stuff,
definitely.
man.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been awesome to have you on, man. I really appreciate you, sharing your story with you.
Oh, man.
Obviously it's pretty intense and it's one of the most interesting stories I've heard when it comes to
Oh,
that kind of
thanks,
stuff.
Alex. I want to thank you, man, before I go, and thank everybody for joining. Thank you for the opportunity. It's always a blessing, and I'm humble to be here with you guys. Thank you so much, Alex. It's been great.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure we will end up crossing paths again and
Definitely.
get to meet and hopefully do some cool expedition or something
Oh,
out in
you
the
know
woods.
it. You know it's coming.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you guys as always for your awesome questions and comments. Everyone in the chat, a lot of cool conversations going on from what I could tell just from kind of glancing over there. So thank you guys as always for your awesome questions and comments for the guest. And where can people find you?
Well, they can just type Edward Munch on Facebook or go to YouTube and find me as a Bigfoot Quest.
Yeah,
That's my
go
main
check that
channel.
out, guys. The link is in the description. There's his interview with Tommy on there as well. Go check that one out. I mean, that's just the one I've seen, and I think it's awesome. So go check out all the rest of his videos too, and give him a subscribe.
All right. Well, thank you for that.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, thank you again for tuning in to Sasquatch Out of the Shadows Live. Next week, again, we will be joined by Doug Hajicek, the creator of Monster Quest and first person to put Meldrum on TV, basically. So it'll be awesome to talk to him again. We had him on a few months ago, so it'll be great to check in with him again. And until then, guys, hopefully you have a great rest of your week, everybody, and stay safe. We'll talk to you guys later.